Students, welcome back. Today I am Anuradha from DPS Haldwani Lamachod going to start another topic of the same chapter, that is the biomolecules. So students, in this chapter already we have covered about the biomicromolecules. Okay, what was the biomicromolecules? Those molecules which is having the size of less than 1000 Dalton. Okay, because we are measuring on the what, on the basis of Dalton. So here if I will talk about the biomacromolecules, these are the molecules those who are having the size larger than, or we can say the molecular weight. Okay, in terms of molecular weight, the biomacromolecules having the more than 1000 Dalton. Okay, as well as we have done about the lipids, because these are the exceptional, because we are categorizing under biomacromolecules, but the size or the molecular weight is less as compared to the biomacromolecules, right here. So today we have to start about the biomacromolecules. So in the previous lecture I told you about that these can be formed by the biomacromolecules. Okay, when the chain of biomacromolecules will come together, for example, as we have done amino acids, we have done about the carbohydrate. So what will happen? Those chains will add together, and what they will form? They will form whole chain, and the single unit is known as monomer, and the whole chain is known as polymer. Okay, so in this biomacromolecules we are going to polymerize the chain of this monomers to form the biomacromolecules. Okay, obviously when we will take this much chain, the molecular weight will be increased, right? So here we will talk about the polymerization or the polymer of the biomicromolecules. First thing. Second thing about the biomacromolecules, we have to understand that how it is forming on the basis of their structure. Like if I will talk about these chains which are similar in structure, okay, if it is glucose glucose, so same type of monomers, when we are having the same type of monomer, we will call it what? Homopolymer. Okay, when we will form the polymer by different types of monomer, if it will be different types, for example, if I will talk about the protein can be formed by different types of amino acid. It can be tyrosine, it can be phenylalanine, so the unit can be of different type, and that one is known as heteropolymer. Right here, what is homopolymer? Same type of monomer unit, and heteropolymer, different types of monomer unit. Okay, so on the basis of that we will understand that how many of them, okay, how many of them are homopolymer and how many of them are heteropolymer. As I have said, protein is will form by different types of monomer, it comes under the heteropolymer. If I will talk about this carbohydrate, okay, if I will talk about the polysaccharides, in this polysaccharide again two forms are there. Okay, one by one we will understand it here. Come to this point that polysaccharides are what? These are the biomacromolecules. Name indicates poly means many, saccharides mean sugar. Okay, when many sugar forms will attach together, they will form the polysaccharides, right? Another thing, on the basis of their monomer unit, we have categorized into two parts: homopolysaccharide. Homo means same, hetero means different. Okay, so in this chain we will get same type of monomer unit, and in this chain of polysaccharide we will get different types of monomer unit. How you will identify? Examples I have mentioned here, that is a starch. Starch is what? Starch is the storage material. Okay, starch is the storage material which is present in case of plants. Plants store its carbohydrate or its sugar in which form? In form of starch. Likewise, we human beings or the animals, they stored their carbohydrate in which form? In form of glycogen. Okay, so we can say that these two are what? These are the storage one. Okay, so function can be two type, structural as well as functional. those things which are required for making any structure. Okay, that one is known as structural, and that one which is required for any storage. Likewise, starch is a storage, glycogen is a storage in different type, in plant cell as well as in animal cell. Likewise, if I will talk about this cellulose, cellulose is what? It is present where? In case of plant. And what it is providing? It is providing stiffness. Okay, so what type of function it is doing here? As a structural part, right? Now another one is the inulin. Why I have mentioned inulin is that if I will talk of all these examples, whether it is starch, glycogen, or the cellulose or insulin, they are made up of simple type or the same type of monomer unit. So what can be the monomer unit? Alpha amylose and amylopectin in case of starch. Okay, you have to memorize these things, that how it is forming, because it may become in your examination, right, in form of MCQ. So likewise, if I will talk about the cellulose, when the different forms of glucose, okay, glucose is what? It is a simpler sugar. If I will talk about the glucose, glucose is what? Simple sugar. That's why it is easily absorbable by our body. And we know that glucose is what? It is a instant energy. That's why we are taking glucose, because what it is providing? It is providing instant energy, because the structure is very simpler form. So when there will be addition of this glucose unit, so what it will form? It will form the cellulose. Okay, the chain may be very long. Okay, because if you will talk about the cellulose structure, so the chain is very long, but whatever the chain is long, the simpler monomer unit will remain same type. Okay, likewise, if I will talk about the inulin is the chain of what? Fructose. If many fructose will add together, what they will form? Inulin. So this one is very important, right? That in inulin, what type of monomer unit is there? That is the fructose. And likewise, in case of cellulose, what it is? Glucose. Okay, two things you have to memorize right here. So we have done the first classification of the polysaccharide, then comes to the heteropolysaccharide. Now the things will be different, or the monomer will be of different type. Like if I will talk about the chitin, again I am emphasizing on these examples, because these examples are very important. Okay, so what are the example? Chitin, pectin, and peptidoglycan and hyaluronic acid. So if you will observe here, most of the things which is present in the heteropolysaccharide, what it is functioning? It will function as a what? Structure. If you will see the chitin is present in the exoskeleton of the animal. Likewise, if you will talk about the pectin, again it is what? Providing structural, it is providing the fiber to the plant cell. Like peptidoglycan we have done in many bacterial cells, and hyaluronic acid in the lower one. So all these are somehow providing the structure to the cell. Okay, so what is my concern here about the polysaccharide is that we have to understand these are the simpler form of sugars. Already we have done very deep about the sugars. We have done monosaccharide, oligosaccharide, disaccharide. So it's nothing. It is the combination of these saccharides here. Okay. And the thing about the biomacromolecule, the name itself indicates it is having the combination of the biomicromolecules, and combinedly they are useful for our metabolic activity. Okay. Now comes to the second one, that is the protein. Protein present in our body in diverse form. Okay. So we can say protein is very important for our body. It is a building block of our body, right? So if I will talk about the protein, it can be of different types. Why different types? Because these are the polymers of what? Amino acid. Likewise, if I will add different amino acid, this is first amino acid, second amino acid, third amino acid. So if I will make long chain of this amino acid, what it will form? It will form the protein. Okay, and in the biomicromolecules already we have done about this amino acid. Okay, that what is the classification of amino acids, what is the structure of amino acid, how they are forming bond together, what is zwitterion, right? So you have to understand everything in case of amino acid. Here what we are studying that whatever amino acids we have prepared there, okay, whatever amino acid we have prepared there, we have to link together to form what? To form the proteins, right? So on this basis we can say we are having 20 amino acids. Majorly we are talking about the 20 types of amino acid, and out of them some are essential amino acid and some are non-essential amino acids. Okay, so now this point is very important. What do you understand by essential amino acid and what do you understand by non-essential amino acids? Okay, so very simple. Essential means which is essential, which is important for our body. Okay, but the body cannot synthesize this amino acid. If body will not be able to synthesize this type of amino acid, so what will happen? We have to supplement our diet with these types of amino acid. Okay, so what is essential? It is essential or important for our body, but we have to provide or we have to supplement in our diet. That one is essential amino acid. Again, I am talking about examples. Examples are must, that leucine and isoleucine. These are what? These are the essential amino acids. Okay, now what about the non-essential? Non-essential means that these are important. Okay, these are important, and these types of amino acid can be synthesized by our body, because our body we can say we about our body is very active. It know that what it has to do and when. Okay, so if the body can synthesize this type of amino acid, because if we cannot supplement, okay, no need to supplement this type of amino acid from our diet, so the body itself can synthesize, and what it is? Proline and serine. Okay, and this type of amino acid again important for our body. Okay, the difference is that it will not be synthesized by body and it will be synthesized by our body. Okay, so what is essential and what is non-essential amino acid? Now comes to the something more about the proteins. We have done in the previous lectures that in case of glucose, if I will talk about the polysaccharides, so this is combination of what? Sugars. Okay, so the bond, okay, the bond which is present between these sugars. So what type of bond we have seen? That glycosidic bond. Glycosidic bond is what? The bond which is present between the sugars, right? When I will talk about the proteins, so what will be the that particular or the characteristic bond of this protein? Very important. That one is the peptide bond. I'm writing here peptide bond is the characteristic bond of the protein. In every protein, or we can see when amino acids are attaching together, okay, when there will be addition of amino acid, so how they are combining with each other, there may be some bond present between each amino acid. So what is this bond? This bond will be the peptide bond. Okay, make sure that you must know that peptide bond is what and where it is present. So now this peptide bond how it is forming in case of proteins. Okay, so for that we will understand it like this structure which I have drawn here. What it is? I said protein will form by combining different types of amino acid. So here I have taken three different types of amino acids. What are they? Glycine, glutamic acid and tyrosine. If you will recall the previous lecture, so we have done that whole structure will remain same in all amino acid, that is NH2, then this CH and COH. Okay, likewise this structure will remain same in this amino acid also, and this structure will remain same in this type of amino acid. So what is the difference between these three types? The thing which is present at this end. In here you can see that this structure is R. R can be varied. It can be H, it can be CH2, CH2, COH, it can be CH2 with this phenyl ring. So as per the change in this structure, the name will also change. So here you can see when I have added only hydrogen, it is a simpler amino acid. Glycine is what? It is a simple amino acid. Why? Because it is having only hydrogen here. Okay. Likewise, when I will add some more here like CH2, CH2, COH, when I will combine this one here instead of this R group or the H group here, what it will form? Glutamic acid. When I will add this phenyl with CH2, what it will form? Tyrosine. Okay. So now when we will combine, so likewise what it will form? Protein. How protein is forming? When I will add these three types of amino acid. Don't think I have taken only three amino acid. It can be of different. Okay. Just for example, I am showing with the three amino acid. So how they will attach with each other? There should be some bond between these two. So how this bond will form? I am talking about this peptide bond. I have to make this peptide bond. So simple or general structure of peptide bond in CONH. Okay, CONH is what? Where you can see the peptide bond, right? Now, what I will do, I have written in the simpler form. The COOH I can write like this. Carboxylic group in the simpler form. How we are writing? This is COOH. So I have to make it simpler. C double bond OH. Okay, so this is simpler form. So here I have written a simpler form of the COOH. Likewise, I have taken NH2. So here you can see that what will happen? This COOH group is nearer to the this NH2 group of the next amino acid. Okay, so whenever there will be such type of bond formation, there will be release of water molecule. Okay, again, if you will recall the bond which we have done in the nucleotide, okay, phosphodiester bond, when we are preparing the ester bond there, so what we have seen? Removal of water molecule. Same thing also here, where when we will take it, what will happen? It will remove the water molecule. So how it will remove the water molecule? We know that in the acidic form, COH forms the acidic. So we from this acidic, what it will release? OH. Okay, and this NH2 will act as a base, so it will give the H. Okay, so what you can observe here, the water molecule is releasing H2O. Okay, by addition of two amino acid. Likewise, if I will add it more amino acid, what will happen? This COH group is there. Again, the bond between this C and OH, it will break down, and here H. So again, what will happen? It will release the H2O. Fine here. So what we said? Removal of H2O. Okay, and due to this removal of H2O, what you will find? CO and H will remain here, and this CO and H is nothing, it is the peptide bond. Okay, if this water molecule will remove from here, see here, if water molecule will remove here, so what will happen? You can see that what is happening? CO and H bond is there. Likewise, if I will remove this water molecule here, so what is there? CO and H. So this CO and H nothing, it is the peptide bond. Okay, right? So how the peptide bonds are formed in case of amino acid to form the protein. One more important thing, if you will see here in this chain of protein which I have made here, at one end you can see N is present, and at another end C is present. Okay, COH, C is present. So this end is known as what? N-terminal end. What it is? N-terminal end, and this end is known as C-terminal end. It's we can say that it doesn't matter the chain is how long. Okay, if chain is of 3, again there will be N terminal and C terminal, or we can say if chain is very long, again there will be N terminal and C terminal, right? So N terminal and C terminal is present in all types of proteins. Okay, so here we can see that again the proteins we have classified on the basis of their structure. Okay, so on the basis of structure we have classified protein into different types. Like we will start with the primary structure of protein. Okay, so we will start the primary structure of protein. Primary means very initial one. Okay, so the linear form of protein by the addition of different types of amino acid in form of linear structure, it is known as what? Primary structure. So the structure which I have drawn here, it is what? Primary structure. And you can see this primary structure as a linear form, very simple form. Okay, and these are what? These are different types of amino acid which are joining with each other with the help of peptide bond. Okay, so peptide bonds are must in case of this primary structure. Okay, now comes to the secondary structure. Secondary structures are what? Somehow complicated. Why? Because there will be some more coiling in the primary structure. Okay, one more important thing which I want to add it here, that primary structure are simpler one. So if we have to perform the metabolic activity or the biological activity of any cell, so what is required? We require the higher structure like secondary structure, or the, we can say, tertiary or the quaternary structure. Okay, there will be no such function of this primary structure in case of biological activity. Okay, so it is useful for the structural. As I have said, some are structural and some are functional. So here these simpler forms will act as a structural unit, okay, which is providing structure to the protein. But the last one, the tertiary and quaternary structure, these are the functional one which is required for providing any function in our body. Okay, so now we have to discuss about the secondary structure. Secondary structure, again we have divided into two parts. What are they? Alpha helix and the beta plated structure. Okay, alpha helix is what and beta plated is what? Helix means something in form of coiling. Okay, and helix is the singular and helices or helices are the plural form. So here what happens that these amino acids will coil together. Okay, this will somehow more complicated as compared to primary structure. The we can say the distance is more in case of primary structure, but here these are very coiled form. Okay, when these are in coiled form, how they are coiling? Right handed. What are they? Right handed. So all the protein which are in secondary structure of alpha helix, they are right handed. Okay, examples again very important. Keratin, the keratin which is present in our hairs, in our nails. Okay, so what are they? These are the alpha helix, and these are what? The coiling of in the right handed form. Okay, so I'm writing here it is a alpha helix. Now comes to the beta plated. Beta plated, again these are the secondary structure, but here these are forms in plates. Okay, or just like folding. See here in form of sheets you can see there, and here you can see coiling like structure. Here you can see that proteins are in which form? In form of sheets. Okay, so these sheets like form is present in case of silk fiber. Silk, again protein is there, that is fibrin protein. Okay, so the fibrin protein which is present in the silk, it is what? It is nothing, it is the beta plated structure of protein. Okay, and again I am saying that what they are providing? They are providing structure to the protein, not the functional. Okay, now comes to the tertiary structure. Tertiary structure are more complicated. Okay, they are more complicated as compared to the secondary structure. If I will coil the secondary structure more and more, okay, like this, so what it will form? It will form the tertiary structure. And make sure whether it is the primary structure or the tertiary structure, everyone has the N terminal and that C terminal, like this. Okay, here also N terminal and C terminal, N terminal and C terminal. Okay, so you have to understand that whether every protein is there, there will be N terminal and the C terminal. So here also it will start from any N terminal and end up with the C terminal. Okay, so this is the tertiary structure. right? Now this, here in the structure you can see that they are connected with each other with the help of what? Hydrogen bond is there. Here also they are connected with each other. Okay, they are connected with each other. So what is their? Hydrogen bond. In case of the tertiary structure, in case of tertiary structure, we have different types of bonds. What are they? Hydrogen bond is there. Okay, hydrogen bond is present. Then van der Waal, covalent bond, disulfide bond. So all these types of bond is present in case of tertiary structure. Okay. Now move towards the quaternary structure. Quaternary means 4, relates to 4. Okay. When I will take these different types of what? Tertiary structure like this. Okay. So what it is forming? Quaternary structure. Here I will talk about one very important example, that is hemoglobin. Okay. In hemoglobin, at center, everywhere, okay, in all these structure, at the center there is a heme group. Okay, here at the center also heme group, and around it what is present? This globulin protein. What is there? This tertiary structure which I have drawn here, it is a globulin protein, right? And these globulin protein are connected with each other with the help of bond. Okay, some bond is present like hydrogen bond. Okay, and along with this hydrogen bond you can see that this alpha chain and there is a beta chain. Okay, this is the alpha and this one is alpha. Two alpha and two beta chains are present in case of hemoglobin. Okay, and that's why it comes under the quaternary structure. And these one, tertiary and quaternary, you know that it is providing some function, it is providing some activity in our body, like hemoglobin which is present in the blood and helps to take the oxygen in our blood. Okay, likewise if I will talk about the myoglobin, myoglobin is that protein which is present in our muscles to take what? Again some type of oxygen, right? So likewise we can say we have classified the protein into 4 parts: primary, secondary, tertiary and quaternary structure. Okay, now comes to the denaturation of protein. One more important thing about the protein is what? If I will write here, what is this term? Denaturation of protein. So what does it mean? Denature means to break something. Okay, so what we are doing in this condition, we are providing the extreme temperature, extreme pH. Due to this extreme temperature, what will happen? The bond between these amino acid will get break down. Okay, what I'm talking, the bond which is present between these amino acid, it will get break down when I will give the high temperature, right? So it is what? Denaturation of protein. It means that protein will get denatured by adding or by giving the environment very extreme. Okay, if I will talk about the primary structure, okay, so it is somehow difficult to break it, okay, as compared to the rest of the 3 types of structural protein. Likewise, one more term is there, renaturation. Renaturation. Renaturation means what? Re means again. Again we have formed it. See what happens, that if I will give the temperature, the bond will get breakdown. Okay, due to the extreme temperature. If I will give the favorable condition, okay, which is required by this particular protein, what will happen? Again this bond will form here. Okay, so this is what, again forming, it is known as renaturation, and deforming anything, okay, it is denaturation. D means to detach something, right? So this is the thing which comes under the protein here. Now if I will talk about the third types of biomacromolecules, what it is? It is nucleotide. Why I am not explaining it here? Because we have done this part in case of nucleic acid. As I have said that in case of nucleic acid, okay, nucleic acid comes under where? Under the biomacromolecules, and this nucleic acid is a polymer of what? Nucleotide. And nucleotide, how it is forming? With the help of nucleoside, when it is attaching with the phosphate group, okay, or we can say phosphoric acid. So how the nucleic acid are there? DNA and RNA. So DNA, the double helix structure of DNA formed by the different addition of the nucleotides, and these nucleotides are attached with the help of the phosphodiester bond, which is the key feature or which is the very distinguishable bond in case of the nucleic acid. And another bond, hydrogen bond, which we have seen, two strands are joined together. Okay, so this is how we can say we have categorized the biomacromolecules as well as the biomacromolecules, right? So that's all for today. Thank you.